Hello, and welcome to Philosophy Live. Today, we're going to consider some of the rousing words of the American writer Mary Oliver and investigate what she knows about that principal philosophical tool of attention. I will share a photo of her. There she is, holding a beautiful shell. Oliver was born in 1935 in Ohio and died fairly recently in 2019. She had a difficult childhood, and it was because of this that she sought solace in the natural world and the words of her favourite authors, Whitman, Rumi, Hafez, Emerson, Shelley, and Keats. She stated that they saved her life, and that in looking for something, she found the entire world. She would play truant from school and go off into the woods with her rucksack full of poetry, make a den, and then stay there all day, reading poetry and contemplating the world around her. She continued to be an unconventional scholar, and despite attending 2 universities, Ohio and Vassar, she did not receive a degree from either. However, in later life, she went on to teach at Case Western University and was writer-in-residence at both Bucknell University and Sweetbriar College. She started writing what she described as rotten poetry around the age of 10, but through disciplined practice and listening convivially to her environment, she became one of the world's most popular poets and won numerous accolades, including the Pulitzer Prize and the National Book Award. Her way of gaining inspiration was to go out into the world on solitary walks with her small notebook and simply be attentive. I just listened, my pen in the air. Her poetry is straightforward in style, but it goes directly to the heart. She saw the act of paying attention and then presenting what you experienced in writing as a way of offering praise to the world. She recommends the same method to us in her poem, Praying. It doesn't have to be the blue iris. It could be weeds in a vacant lot or a few small stones. Just pay attention, then patch a few words together, and don't try to make them elaborate. This isn't a contest, but a doorway into thanks and a silence in which another voice may speak. She is brimming over with gratitude for it all, as we see on the very first page of her collected essays entitled Upstream. What a life is ours, she says. Doesn't anybody in the world want to get up in the middle of the night and sing? Asking questions, often unanswerable ones, is something that she does a lot in her writing, and it serves to wake the reader up to the mysteries of life. In the Upstream essay, her writing shows how awake and interconnected with her surroundings she is. She writes, "The beech leaves were just slipping their copper coats. Pale green and quivering, they arrived into the year. My heart opened and opened again." She ends the essay with the words, "Attention is the beginning of devotion," which is what I chose as the title for this talk, and what Oliver evidently experienced herself. Attention is described in the dictionary as the act of directing the mind to listen, see, or understand, to notice. So why is it so important? Well, really, you could say that it is our foremost power. To be attentive, you have to be awake in the present moment. The other alternative is to be asleep and inattentive. And it is clear that everything is carried out in a deficient manner if we are inattentive. Mistakes and misunderstandings are often caused by this. And not only will we do an inferior job if we are inattentive, but it will also be unsatisfying. We will be unable to fully enjoy anything. From having a conversation to eating to cleaning, all are improved by full attention. And most importantly, what Oliver shows us through her writing is that when we pay attention, we become aware of the unity of creation, and that unity is through love. We did an experiment once on a philosophy residential when we were split into pairs and spent several minutes just looking into the eyes of the other person. What was universally acknowledged was that we became aware that we loved each other. This exercise showed us what was already there, and all it took was a few moments of undisturbed attention. When she was 17, Oliver visited the poet Edna St. Vincent Millay's home, Steepletop, and having befriended the poet's sister Norma, she ended up staying there for 7 years, assisting with organising the poet's papers. No doubt, immersing herself in Millay's poetry must have had an effect on Oliver, but the real life-changing moment was meeting her lifelong partner there, the photographer Molly Malone Cook. Oliver cites Cook as changing the way she looked at the world. She states that she had begun with simply observing the world, but through watching Cook, she saw that attention without feeling is only a report. An openness, an empathy was necessary if the attention was to matter. M instilled in me this deeper level of looking and working, of seeing through the heavenly visibles to the heavenly invisibles. They lived in Provincetown, Massachusetts for most of their lives together, and the landscape there was a constant source of inspiration for Oliver. The poem that I'm going to share with you is the one I heard Oliver recite, which inspired me to do this talk on her. And in it, we can see her close relationship to the natural world and how paying attention to it teaches her what we might call spiritual wisdom. It is called When I Am Among the Trees. Apologies for having to lay it out in a prose format. I couldn't fit it on otherwise. When I am among the trees, especially the willows and the honey locust, equally the beech, the oaks and the pines, they give off such hints of gladness, I would almost say that they save me, and daily. I am so distant from the hope of myself, in which I have goodness and discernment, and never hurry through the world, but walk slowly and bow often. Around me, the trees stir in their leaves and call out, "Stay a while." The light flows from their branches, and they call again. It's simple, they say, and you too have come into the world to do this, to go easy, to be filled with light, and to shine. She directs her awareness to the trees, and they inspire sacred thoughts in her. A confluence is made through the connection of attention. To Oliver, the interconnectedness of everything is obvious. She asks a question elsewhere. Do you think there is anything not attached by its unbreakable cord to everything else? The world was her teacher, no doubt, but more than that, it was her source of wonder and awe, and she truly loved it. She was awake to the teachings contained in the briefest moments, and her writing encourages us to be open too. In her poem, When Death Comes, she states, "When it's all over, I want to say, all my life I was a bride married to amazement. I was the bridegroom, taking the world into my arms." She understands too how our attention can be lost, and she describes it comically in her essay of Power and Time. She speaks of being interrupted whilst writing by the doorbell or the phone ringing, but she goes on to write about the more pressing inner interruption that comes from the self itself, that whistles and pounds upon the door panels and tosses itself, splashing into the pond of meditation. And what does it have to say? That you must phone the dentist, that you are out of mustard, that your Uncle Stanley's birthday is 2 weeks hence. You react, of course. Then you return to your work only to find that the imps of idea have fled back into the mist. Oliver was a great believer in economy of style. The rest is just decorating, she would say. So I think we can do no better than to take as our practice Oliver's poem, Instructions for Living a Life. Instructions for living a life. Pay attention. Be astonished. Tell about it. Thank you for listening. If you've enjoyed the talk, please do like it and share it, and have a wonderful day.